Betsy Bixby here, and welcome to Thrive Now, where we believe every family business deserves to thrive. Hey, we've been in this series talking about how to reach out on Indeed, get a great candidate, and then last week we talked about how to get through a process where the candidate actually has to do a lot of things. We call it the make them do something first screening, right? And so now you're at this phase, and we ended by talking about that in-person interview. All right, in-person interview in the Meridian Method is always done by a team. Why is that? Because you're not perfect, the person interviewing is not perfect, and it really gives you an opportunity when there's a small team. At Meridian, we usually use a team of 3 when we're interviewing, and that gives you an opportunity to listen carefully, to observe more. You're not always thinking about the next question. And when the candidate leaves, it gives the team an opportunity to talk about the candidate and what they observed in that candidate. So it's a really cool process to have the team interview. Now, even when you think you have the superstar, one of the questions you should be asking in that interview, and I want you to really listen carefully to this, it is, when I talk to your last supervisor and I ask them on a 1 to 10, how would they rate you, what they will say. All right, that now, and then in that interview, you're gonna ask for that supervisor's name, you're gonna ask for their phone number, and don't hire them until you actually talk to them. Because in this day and age, you've got to do background checks and you've got to talk to former supervisors. You know, a lesson learned for me recently was I had interviewed and checked with a supervisor, and the reason that the candidate gave me for kind of leaving the position, or you know, what didn't go well, when I mentioned that to the old supervisor, he had no recollection of that. Well, guess what? Later on, I found that that employee is very, very private about things, and even when things aren't going well, because of a military background, they just kind of suck it up and do it and don't tell people what's going on with them. So it's really interesting to pay attention to your gut instincts when you're doing those kind of background checks. But again, it's really will keep you from making a mistake. Anybody that is working with money in any way, shape, or form, I would strongly encourage you to include a credit check in the background check. Now, in background checking, you want to make sure that you stay legal. And so we have our payroll through ADP, and we use their background checking service to make sure that everything is done legally and correctly. All right, you guys, you want to pay attention if there's anything in your guts as you're going through the process. I know that sometimes you can get in love with a candidate that you think is it, and you really need this person and you want to go forward, but pay attention to those little gut instincts, because a lot of times they're very right, okay? All right, this has been awesome. I want to hear about your successes with getting people using Meridian's method of Indeed messaging, the make them do something screen, and then that final bit of reference checking. Have a blessed week, and we'll be talking to you next week.